Here we go. Yes, it's Monday, the 10th of March, 2025. This is Michael Heppel, and I'm about to share with you where you get your ideas. People ask me it all the time, and now I'm going to share where I get my ideas. So first of all, I'm going to press some buttons over here. I've decided not to bother doing How to Be Brilliant live. Broadcasting it to Facebook groups is a challenge right now, so I'm making it much easier to upload it later. So if you're watching this on How to Be Brilliant, thank you for watching the repeat. To everybody else, let's do it live! Okay, are you ready for this?
It's the start of the week. Grab your coffee cups. It's Magic Monday Live.
Magic Monday Live with me, Michael Heppel, and today I'm going to be talking about ideas, idea generation, where I get my ideas, how you can have more ideas, and where we sometimes go wrong. Let's talk about some negatives as well. I know I'm always positive, but let's talk about some negatives in here as well. But why people don't have good ideas and why people think I can never think of good ideas. So I decided to do this as a list. And there's a reason for that. That's a particular reason. And one of the reasons is because a great way to make yourself have good ideas is to write lists, but do more than normal. So if normally you would say, well, write down 5 things, write down 10. If you're normally going to do 10, write down 17. That's in my book, 17. It makes you think a little bit harder when you do these things. So I've got, I was going to do 5, and I thought, push yourself, get some more ideas, think of 10. So I am about to share with you 10 ways to have good ideas. Actually, it's 11. I just added an extra one on my pen, a little scribble at the end. So the first way to have good ideas is to have bad ideas. Absolutely, to make sure that you have lots of bad ideas, because in amongst the bad ideas there are lots and lots of brilliant good ideas. And so often what happens is people will have 1 or 2 bad ideas and then they just quit, they just stop. That's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. What are they thinking about? The best idea might just be there, it might just be that next one. Oh, I've tried that, it didn't work. The number of times when we're in lockdown, we were just talking about it yesterday. Yesterday was when Boris Johnson did his first announcement that said that there may be lockdown measures required 5 years ago. I know that because it was our granddaughter's birthday. Yes, it was Ella's 5th birthday, and it was on the day of her birth that he did that speech where he said there's a good chance. And I've got these 4 things that are going to happen. But right now, make sure you just wash your hands. Oh, what a time we had since then. Anyway, but a number of people who said, oh, I'm going to do lives. I'm going to do live broadcasts. And they did 4 or 5, and then they stopped. I've been doing them every single week. And at one point during lockdown, I was doing 1 a day every single day. And I did it for ages. I would do Monday, I would do something. Tuesday, I would do something. Wednesday, there'd be a different theme. Thursday, we had special guests. Fridays, we would do a fun Friday thing on a Friday lunchtime. Saturdays and Sundays, we'd do stuff. Yeah, you've got to keep going with it. When I look back at some of those initial ones, they were shocking. You may be thinking they're not that much better now, Michael, but I'm going to keep going. I will keep going, because that's the thing about ideas. You've got to keep having some bad ones to get through to the good ones. If you think about musicians, does every song that they write, is it going to be brilliant? No, they're going to have some bad ones in there. Artists, wow, that's weird. As I say, artist, Jeannie Children's Books, who is Jeannie Duncanson, says, all bad ideas are great. I love them. You can mix them up and get a good one. And she's a genius. She is a genius. She has brilliant ideas. And wow. That was really interesting. I should just mention artist, and then suddenly Jeannie appears. And did I see something else a little bit? I think I noticed earlier on. Yes, Karen Borland is here as well. Another artist. Wow, we've got the artists are here. Yay! Artists in the house. So number 1, have bad ideas. Number 2, read. if you want to have good ideas, read a lot, read all sorts of stuff. And people kind of go, oh, I don't really have time to read. But it's amazing how they have half an hour to flick through reels on their Instagram. Unless this is one of the reels, then this is a good one. But a lot of it is just people falling over. It's just people trying to be funny or trying to be provoking or clickbait or stuff like that. Read interesting things. There is so much out there, and be diverse with them. I've just started to read something about the war on drugs. I thought that would be interesting. I've just finished reading a book by an author who I'd never heard about before. I thought the book was going to be great. It was absolutely average. It wasn't brilliant, but that's okay. I read it and I thought, right, if I was ever writing a fiction book, there's a few things I wouldn't do from there. So reading is one of the best ways to get ideas, because you're never pinching stuff. It's always just going to make you go, that shift from there to there is where you go from an idea that somebody else's to your version of it. The next one is write. So obviously, I'm a big fan of writing. I love writing. If you write a book, you instantly become incredibly creative. You have to. Whether it's a fiction book, a non-fiction book. I have just finished writing this book. See, smile, say hello. Well, not just finished it. I finished it a little while ago, but it's now for sale. It gets published on the 27th of this month. Can you believe it? 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 3 days. I told people there will be 50 chapters long before I'd written 50 chapters. I have to write 50 chapters. I actually had to write 73 chapters because I've got a brilliant editor. That should be part of great thinking, great ideas. Because out of the 70 odd, there were some of them didn't quite make it because Christine said they were terrible. So I had to say, right, I've got to take a few out, which is fine. That was okay. I don't mind doing that. I'll use that content somewhere else, I'm absolutely sure. But the trick always with these things is to read maybe stuff that you wouldn't normally read. There's Hilda just says, just done this just now. I was so stuck. I had a good old chat with an old book by Jung. Oh, this is Carl Jung, I'm sure. Turns out he's alive. His voice is, at least, and helped me with lots of ideas. Well, isn't that great? Brilliant. He's alive. Well, his voice is. That's so cool. By the way, if you want to write something on the chat, if you're watching, like if here's Alfie Joey, I draw too. Here's to the artist, and I must draw more. See, Alfie is a brilliant artist. He's an artist in many, many things. And then on the old LinkedIn here, you get authority. You wrote a book on it. You do, yes. If you write a book on something, you do get authority on it. Authority. And just while we're doing the little shout outs, Karen's here from Birmingham. Hello, Karen. How lovely to see you. Right. So that was number 1, have bad ideas. Number 2, read. Number 3, write. Number 4, ask better questions. We're so interested in being interesting ourselves that sometimes we forget to ask better questions of others and of ourselves. What does that mean? How did you get started with that? I was at Ella's birthday party on Saturday. So she had a birthday party with 27, I think it was, 5-year-olds. In a sports hall, 2 bouncy castles, loads of little bikes and all sorts of things and machines and all that type of thing. And I noticed there was a few dads who came in and they just kind of stood there like this. They're going to be there for 2 hours. So I made a point of having a chat with them all. And I wanted to ask them loads of questions. So which one's yours? How are you getting on? All that type of stuff. I met one guy, and it turned out that we both had a fascination about magic. He was an interesting person. There was another person I talked to about the football this weekend. Newcastle in the Carabao Cup final. So we talked about that. People are interesting if we ask better questions. How do you think we'll do next weekend? Oh, it doesn't look very good. Why is that? Well, because of this. And what do you think? What would make it better? If we did win, what would have happened? Just that type of stuff is great. So ask better questions. Number 5, put yourself in a position where you have to think of ideas. Like this. So I was going to do 5 ideas today. I've changed it to 10. So then I had to think of more ideas on how to think of ideas. Meanwhile, as I'm talking, Dr. Victoria Wilson Crane pops along and says, I'm drawing too. Zentangle. Somehow I'm now an artist and an art teacher. See? Zentangle. Post some of those for us to have a look at. I think you already have, Vic, in Team 17. You posted some stuff, didn't you? I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Number 6 is look for connections. So this is a method that I talk about in 2 of my books. I think I talk about it in Brilliant Life, and I also talk about it in 17. And this is where you take random ideas and then you look for connections between them to think of a new idea. And there's loads of great inventions have happened that way, where, like the sewing machine was invented, not by Singer. Oh no, they just popularized it brilliantly. Right now, I can't remember the name of the person who did invent the sewing machine, but he had a dream about, and he was trying to work out how to get the needle, how to get the thread to work. And he had a dream about being attacked by these people with spears, and they were poking these spears. When he looked down at the spear, and there was a hole in the end of the spear. And he woke up and he went, oh, it was a really weird dream. Oh, man, I had this thing. And I'm trying to think of how to get the thread through the needle. Turn the needle upside down, put the thread through the end. Yes, that's how he came up with the idea. And his name will pop back into my head any moment now. So take 2 or 3 different things and then see if you can find a connection between them. And then if that comes up with a new idea, great. If it doesn't, we're back to number 1. Have a bad idea. It doesn't matter. You cannot have too many bad ideas. Okay, number 7, don't accept the first draft. So this is where if you accept the first draft of anything, it limits our creativity for other things. So often if I'm writing a newsletter, so every Thursday I send out a newsletter, and what I'll do is I'll write it and then I'll sit on it for a day, and then I'll rewrite it. And the way I rewrite it is this: I take out the first paragraph. Does it still make sense? I bet 3 times out of 5, it reads better without the first paragraph, because I'm warming up with the first paragraph. So I'm trying to communicate something and I put in unnecessary stuff because I'm warming up. Readers these days, they click on, see the subject. Oh, I like that. Boom. What's it about? Boof. In they go, and they want information straight away. So the first draft of something will always be, a first shot, but it's purely a first shot. What else can you do? Where else can you take it? Your first method of describing something. So I know people who've done the same sales pitch for 10 years. Same one. What if you changed it? What if you learned something else? What if you put something else in place instead of some of the things that you've been talking about? Restaurants who've got the same food on the menu, same first draft, same thing as we were doing when they opened. Try a few things. Specials. Yes, it might just work. Okay, number 8. Create an environment where you can have ideas. So I have 2 great places for ideas. No, 3 great places for ideas. One in here, surrounded by books. I mean, there's just so many books, and I've got more books here, more books here. I've got windows there. I've got Lego piled, all sorts of Lego things here. 3 screens, loads and loads of stuff that generates ideas. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It's a while since I've done a sneeze. That's because I've been cleaning my office. Probably a bit dusty. I've been cleaning it up. I said I would, and I have. Promise. Talking to my mum there. I've been clearing up my room. I promise you. Okay, so create an environment. So office environment for me is very creative. Also, we've got a snug. And I was snug. Excuse me. Oh, don't you hate it when you lose one? I just went there. Had it, then I lost it. Our snug is very creative. No television, nothing at all. It's going to cause any kind of distractions. Piles of books, of course. But it's really lovely, and the wallpaper is just nice, and it's very oldie worldy. And there's an old range, an old cooking range, and it's it was forged in Newcastle. It's brilliant. So just sitting there, got a lovely comfy chair, just look out the window and see the birds. Always think of good ideas there. And then the other place is outdoors. If you get outdoors and walk, I promise you will get great ideas. If you're ever stuck with something and you go, how on earth am I going to do this? How on earth am I going to get a better idea here? I need a solution. Go out for a walk. You'll be amazed at what comes. Okay, next thing. Number 9, become an expert on something. Become an expert. If you spend time to become an expert at one thing, during the process, you become more interested in other things and you build up more ideas. So by having that mission to be an expert, people kind of go, oh, well, if you become really that focused, everything else goes out the window. No, you attract in more stuff. You really do. I've noticed this. When I meet people who are experts, they kind of seem to be an expert in one thing, but actually they're really interesting in lots of things because they focused on becoming an expert at something. I hope that one makes sense. As I'm explaining that, I'm wondering if I could be explaining it a little bit better. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you focus on becoming an expert, one of the very best people in the world at something, you think of lots of ideas for other things. Best way to explain it. All right, number 10, meet interesting people. It wears off. It undoubtedly wears off. So on Friday, I met 3 really interesting people. One was my old mate, Richard Nugent, who I was meeting for a lad's lunch. We met at the pub called the Broad Chair in Newcastle. While we were there, we saw Terry Laybourne. Terry Laybourne, who is one of the latest freemen of Newcastle. He can now drive his sheep across the town moor and across the Tyne Bridge, I think, or do something with sheep if he wants to. He's a freeman of Newcastle. And we saw Terry, and we invited him to have lunch with us, and he did. It was fascinating. So I'm talking to Richard, who's always fascinating. I'm talking to Terry, who's always fascinating. And then I was going to get the train home, and I got into an Uber, and we're on our way up to the central station, and the traffic was chock-a-block. I knew I was going to miss my train. Had a little chat with the Uber driver. He's a guy called Sonny. I said, Sonny, how much would it cost to take me through to Hexham? So I did a deal, and I started to talk to him. What a fascinating character he was. He studied engineering at Newcastle University. During the day, he helps people to do import and export, does all the paperwork and all that type of stuff. On a nighttime and on weekends, he's an Uber driver. And really, really fascinating, interesting person. I was talking about some of the stuff that people need to do with paperwork. And I said, how bad is Brexit? And he said, some of the businesses are surviving that much. That is the report. He says, but now if you think what Trump wants to do in the world to make things even harder, he said it was tragic. And he was visibly moved by the fact that, we, instead of becoming more open as a society, we seem to be shrinking as a society. But anyway, I had a lovely chat with him, so that was great. So you meet interesting people and it wears off. And then I've got an 11th one, and my 11th one, and I am slightly over time, but I'm going to share it anyway, is to use AI. Now, I have a thing called Brilliant AI, and now some of you have been so patient. I announced last year that I was going to have my own AI, and you will be able to subscribe to it and all that stuff. It's been the most fascinating journey. It's not ready. I'm probably too much of a perfectionist with it. I am doing my very, very best to create something that people would enjoy using, and it wouldn't just be like a one-hit wonder. But as part of that process, I'm learning about how to use AI. And in the last summer, I did an experiment where I got AI to write some newsletters for me. I wrote 4. People didn't like them. They didn't like my newsletters last year, although the open rates were higher than I'd had for a long time for the summer. August, it normally drops down. August, it went up. So it was writing some good headlines. But generally, people don't like stuff that's being written by AI. So what I do is I use AI to help me with idea generation. So I have a conversation with it. And because I've got an AI I can talk to, I'll chat away. I'll chat, ask questions. It'll come back. I'll challenge it. You can never fall out with your AI. You can say, that's a rubbish idea. Try again. It comes out, goes, thank you, Michael, for letting me know it was a rubbish idea. But imagine if you'd said that to your spouse. If I turned around to Christine and said, that's a rubbish idea, she'd be like, all right, okay, no more ideas for you. No more dinner for you. No more anything for you. So you can't fall out with the AI. You can just keep testing it. It's brilliant. It's really good. So I do enjoy using AI like that. Right, okay, let's have a little look. Who else is here? So We've got Judith. Oh, Judith Brandwood. Hi, Diane. That means Diane must be here. She must be. Yes, she is. Hi from Diane and Judith. All right, my goodness. We've got two people together in Clivinger. Brilliant. Angie Vale's in Lanzarote. Ooh. Hope it's lovely and sunny. Dean Coulson's here. Hi, Michael. Thanks for sharing these ideas that have more. Oh, hang on. Thanks for sharing these ideas to have more ideas. Dean answered my question on Wednesday about whether I've started to have cold showers, but I don't want to be the person who ends a shower with a cold shower because it's awful. It's bad enough going into one, ending one, and being the last thing when you get out. You don't want to do that. So Dean said it doesn't matter because the important thing is 2 minutes to get all the endorphins going. So I've been doing the cold shower thing. Whoa, my goodness. Alfie says, bless you. Thank you. That was my sneeze. What else have we got? Push out a vial. Push out a vial. Oh, I don't know what that is, but that's good. And then we've got, is it worth pushing out an early version for feedback? Oh, I see. Feedback on things. Yeah. Well, feedback's a great way to get ideas, Mike. Of course it is. Love doing that. Absolutely love doing that. Now, two other people have just joined here on Instagram. Jeffrey Gettimer has just joined, my friend Jeffrey Gettimer. Jeffrey, how lovely to see you. Jeffrey's brilliant. He's one of the most, probably the most successful sales trainer in the world. He's one of the most successful trainers in the world. He could be the busiest person ever. The number of times when he sends me a nice comment after I send out a newsletter, it's brilliant. He does it. Alfie Joey, who's also on, he does it as well. What a lovely thing it is to receive a nice message. So my newsletter I sent out on Thursday, he came out, he went, that'll be a brilliant book title. And here's a subtitle for it. I was like, flipping out, man, Jeffrey, I've got to write this one. I've got to sell this one. Actually, Jeffrey, you're in this one. You are in. I will be sending you a copy because you're named. Yes, you are. And who else? Jeannie's here. Yeah, so, we've got people popping in from all over the place. Right, look, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching today. This, of course, will all be repeated. It'll be there forever. If you want to see the rest of the ideas, if you've just joined, let's quickly run through them. How do you get good ideas? 10 ways. Okay, number 1, have bad ones. Number 2, read. Number 2, write. Number 3, ask better questions. Number 4, put yourself in a position where you have to think of ideas. Number 6, look for connections. Maybe take random things, look for connections and find something new from it. Number 7, don't accept the first draft. My example was removing the first paragraph. It could be doing something in a different way, testing out some new knowledge. Number 8, create an environment where you can have creativity, office like this, but most important thing, getting outdoors. That's a great way to be more creative. Number 9, become an expert on something. By becoming an expert on one thing, you become better at lots of things. Number 10, meet interesting people because it wears off. And number 11, use brilliant AI. Thanks very much, everybody. I will be back next Monday, and Newcastle United will either have won the Carabao Cup or not won the Carabao Cup, and I will be here with you, celebrating or commiserating. We'll see. Bye.